I'm Sarah Hatch, and today I'm teaching you how to draw lips. Now this is going to be in fast forward mode, just so that we can get through the lesson faster. Feel free, if you are drawing along, to pause to catch up to where I'm at. So right now we're just starting with the middle part of the mouth, and then from that point you can start drawing the top part of the lip. So that middle line where the lips come together is the first thing I drew, and now I'm drawing the top part of the upper lip. Now make sure you're drawing really lightly right now, because there's inevitably a lot of erasing as you try to block in the shape. That's what we're doing right now. We're just blocking in the shape. These lines, a lot of them are going to get lost in the shading. Eventually, we don't want to use lines like this in the long run. We want to use shading, and so just draw real light so that eventually, if you need to, you can be able to erase, and so that you can get the distance correct from each side from that midpoint. Now I'm just lightly blocking in the bottom part of the lower lip. And the part of where the lips come together, this part that I'm doing right now, that is going to be our darkest part of the lips, because there's the shadow from where the lips meet up together. And so make sure that you are able to fill that in, but don't draw too hard, because you're just going to use layering to get your shadows in there. Okay, so now we're using little circular motions to get the shading of this lower lip, and you want to go kind of around the edges, because the middle part of that lower lip is where the highlight is. So once again, just using layering to get our values to be darker at this point. We don't want to do it right from the get-go, because often you might regret it and it won't look as good. Now I'm switching to a different angle, because this angle helps give the look that you see when you see lips. They kind of have a line that you can see in the person's lips that goes up and down. And so you don't want to have it go all the way across the lip. You want to be on either end, either the top part or the bottom part, shading downwards or upwards. And that will give the realistic look to the lips that you want. The top lip is darker than the bottom lip. And so you won't be leaving as much of a highlight on that top lip as you will on the bottom lip. But you do still want to leave that middle part lighter than the edges, especially that lower edge of the upper lip. So yeah, just keep going with these downward motions or upward motions, depending where you are on the lip. You can experiment with different pencil hardness for the different parts of the lip. If you want the lines to be really defined, you'll want to use a really sharp pencil. Also, if you're going for more of a blending look, you want to have it be a little bit duller, but still a little bit sharp. And you want those lines to be kind of random, how they go up. You don't want any type of uniform pattern. And you don't want it to look too much like a line. You don't want to overdo it. You want to keep it simple and not use too much line to define it. So now I'm going to work on that upper lip to make sure it doesn't look like there's a line. You definitely don't want a line along that upper lip. You want to shade that in. Use an eraser to kind of make it look a little more natural. I mean, unless you're drawing lips with lipstick, so it just depends on which portrait you're working from. The portrait I'm working from, they are not wearing lipstick. And so you don't want it to look like there's a lip liner or too defined of an edge. But yeah, once again, like I said, the upper lip is darker than the lower lip, so keep that in mind as you're shading. So right now I'm just putting in some final finishing touches to shade in that upper lip. Reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite when I say I'm shading the upper lip. Anyway, so get all those shadows in there and just make sure when you're drawing the lips that you're drawing from that you look really closely at all the different shadows and just don't give up on them too fast, but also don't overwork the texture on the lips because that can look bad as well. So the most important thing with the lips is getting your values to show the shape of the lip. You want the shadow to give form, and you don't want to rely on line too much. You want to rely on the shadows to give form. So that's about it. And here is the picture I was working off of, and you can see that I've shaded around the lip as well, and that helps give it some form. Thanks for watching. Feel free to reference my older videos to see the eye and nose tutorial, and then next week I will teach how to draw an ear.